Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to another Battle for Azeroth video. Today we're going to be looking at all of the abilities that were artifact abilities previously in Legion that have currently made it on the Battle for Azeroth Alpha. Okay, so before I get into this and walk you through every single one of them that have made it, I want to make sure that you guys know that this is the alpha. It is very possible that these abilities have just not yet been implemented in a way that fits the class design. I mean, there's still like the coming soon label on a lot of these talents on these classes, and I just thought that this would be cool to kind of show you guys exactly what's coming for sure on the alpha and like what Blizzard has already like taken steps to prioritize these abilities to be put in. And I thought it would just be fun, right? So let's go ahead and dive into it. The first one that I'm going to be talking about is going to be the Fire Mage's Phoenix's Flames. So Phoenix's Flames has found its way into the talents of the Fire Mage. This is absolutely a huge deal for fire mages because Phoenix Flames is such a big deal for their rotation. It basically it unlocks like half of the abilities. Like the way fire mage works, you're always trying to chain together critical strikes into pyroblast, and without Phoenix Flames you would basically have half of like your resources in order to get all of those pyroblasts. So it's really nice to see Phoenix Flames be in there. It's the exact same as it was in the previous expansion, 45-second recharge and a max of 3 charges. The only thing that is kind of a bummer is that there's no Phoenix Reborn like passive artifact trait, which means that your Phoenix Flames likely will not be resetting based on how many ignite ticks that you get throughout like your fight, your combat. The next up ability that's going to be in the artifact abilities is actually Warbreaker. So with Warbreaker back in Legion, obviously it worked as like an AoE Colossus Smash. It's very similar to how it was in Legion, except for it actually replaces Colossus Smash instead of being in addition to Colossus Smash like it was in Legion with that artifact ability. It works the exact same. It's just like an AoE smash. It puts that Colossus Smash debuff on all of the targets around you within 8 yards. It deals a pretty hefty amount of damage. Like I would say more than it did in Legion comparatively. And it's also a 45-second cooldown, which is very nice for the rotation. Being able to use that with Ravager on the regular, and maybe even use that with Bladestorm if you're not using Ravager. I think that this is very important to the Arms Warrior rotation, just because of how important, like you need to be able to put Colossus Smash on your on like a several amount of targets if you're going to do a good AoE damage. And since you can't actually reset Colossus Smash anymore with Tactician, it only resets Overpower, which is a brand new thing. I covered this over in my Arms Warrior rework video that I had recently released on my channel. You know, having this is just so important, and I'm really glad to see Arms Warrior get this ability baked into their actual spec. For our third ability in this video, we're going to be talking about Void Torrent for Shadow Priest. It did make it in, and it's exactly how it was in Legion, and it's baked into the talents now for Shadow Priest. I haven't yet done a rework video over Shadow Priest, but it is nice to see that they basically get their whole kit, including Void Torrent. So this is a level 100 tier talent on the same tier as Surrender to Madness and also Legacy of the Void. Void Torrent, obviously you channel a certain over 4 seconds and you deal a large amount of damage, and Insanity does not drain during this channel, and it also requires Void Form. This is a direct copy from Legion off into Battle for Azeroth. There's really nothing different there, and it's nice to see Shadow Priest still have that. I don't know how this is really going to compare to Legacy of the Void and Surrender to Madness. I know that both Surrender to Madness and Legacy of the Void is actually so relevant in Shadow Priest gameplay, so, both PvP and PvE whenever Surrender to Madness was used so much. So having this be in the same tier, I don't know if Void Torrent is really going to get chosen out of the other two, but it's nice to see that it's actually there and that it's a choice instead of just taking out the ability entirely. For our fourth artifact ability, we have Stormkeeper from Elemental Shamans. It is still the exact same thing, except for it was actually a little bit nerfed. Stormkeeper charges yourself with lightning, causing your next 2 lightning bolts instead of 3, or chain lightnings to be instant cast, and also trigger elemental overload on every target. This is a little bit different. Obviously, Stormkeeper did have 3 charges beforehand, and it was mainly chain lightning. I actually don't think it was lightning bolt as well. So since it was nerfed a little bit, I guess it was really, you know, a little bit too strong on Blizzard's radar. I don't know if I necessarily agree, but I really am happy to see that Stormkeeper made it in, because I played a lot of Elemental Shaman on Legion beta, and it was always a really fun ability. Being able to like kind of line up AoE, and like whenever ads would come out in boss fights and being able to like kill them instantly almost. and then also getting a huge amount of AoE damage in arenas if they were actually to group up. If the enemy team were to group up together, you could Stormkeeper, and it was like a really, really difficult thing to heal through. I'm really happy to see this, and it's also got that really juicy animation where you put like your fist in the air, and I noticed you can also cast Stormkeeper while moving on the alpha. I don't know if that's intended, because I know there's a couple abilities, especially with like Demo Lock, where you can cast while moving, but it doesn't really make sense to cast while moving. But you do get that really juicy animation where you get that Stormkeeper. It actually is in the shape of the Fist of Ra-Den, so that's interesting. I'm sure that's just unfinished, but it is nice to see that ability be moved into the Battle for Azeroth alpha, and I hope that this stays. And I'm curious, like if you're an Elemental Shaman, what do you think of the changes from Stormkeeper from Legion to Battle for Azeroth, with the 2 to 3 and like it actually being on Lightning Bolt 2? Maybe that kind of gives you a little bit of extra single target damage. So I'm curious what you say in the comments down below. Now for our next ability, this is going to be something that is not quite the same as the artifact ability, but is very similar in a lot of ways. And that is going to be actually a talent that the Windwalker has that is brand new, called Fist of the White Tiger. Okay, this is a little bit different than it was. So Strike of the Windlord, what it would do is it would cost 2 chi, and it would do a large amount of AoE damage to targets in front of you, okay? And with that being pretty much out of the game now, they've replaced this for something called Fist of the White Tiger, which costs 40 energy and generates 3 chi. So instead of costing chi, it generates chi. It's a 30-second cooldown, whereas Strike of the Windlord was a 40-second cooldown, and obviously that's a little bit different with Serenity. But having Fist of the White Tiger be in the game now, it also, I forgot to mention, it's a single target only damage, so it's not AoE. I think that monks are definitely going to be losing some damage with this ability compared to Strike of the Windlord, because Strike of the Windlord does a lot of good AoE damage, which could open up great cleave opportunities in Arena or even in Mythic Plus. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of monks that are going to be losing Mythic Plus AoE damage, since they don't have Strike of the Windlord. But Fist of the White Tiger is a small replacement. Nonetheless, it does do a large amount of damage for sure. Like 2,000 base damage on the BFA Alpha is a lot. And it also generates 3 chi, which is very nice because that does kind of change the way that, with energizing elixir changing as well, having another generator is probably a good idea. But I haven't yet dove into the Windwalker class on the alpha, so I'm not sure of the overall aspect of this design. That's something to be figured out by me at a later date. And last but not least, guys, for the last ability that I've seen on the alpha that has made it into Battle for Azeroth, that is going to be the Restoration Druids. Essence of Ganir has made it into the alpha in a different form. Okay, so this is called Flourish. Flourish extends the duration of all your healing over time effects on friendly targets within 60 yards by 8 seconds, and also increases the rate your heal over time effects by 100% for 8 seconds. It's very, very similar to Essence of Ganir. It does pretty much the exact same thing, the 8-second duration where it increases the rate of your healing. And I think that this is very important because Restoration Druids had always lacked this really big burst healing throughout previous expansions, and having that basically be given to you again is really important in my opinion, because you need like those big cooldowns to be able to have the throughput to heal people when they're taking a ton of damage. And for Resto Druids to completely lose their Essence of Ganir artifact ability seems a little bit overkill to me. So having it actually be given back to you in the form of Flourish will be an interesting choice, absolutely, because Germination's on there and Moment of Clarity, which is also very interesting as well. Them being all on the same tier will be a difficult choice 100%, but it is nice to see Essence of Ganir being built into the spec in a pretty low cooldown ability. And that does conclude the list of all of the artifact abilities that were put into the Battle for Azeroth Alpha. So that means that there are 6 abilities. There are 6 artifact abilities that were built into the 36 classes, specializations in the classes. And I really do hope that there are more artifact abilities that are built into the specs, because there are so many cool ones, you know, like Full Moon, or like even the New Moon to Half Moon to Full Moon combo. Odin's Fury from Fury Warriors. There's Ebon Bolt for Frost Mages, Mark of Eludith for Arcane Mages. There's so many cool ones. I mean, even like Outlaw Rogues lost their Curse of the Dreadstalker, I think it's called. And even that one was really cool in my opinion. Like, there was a lot of really great artifact abilities. I hope make it into the alpha and the beta before the game launches, because that's really good. Like, I don't want to see a lot of these abilities go. But let me know down in the comments below what you think about the artifacts that have actually made it into the alpha, and which ones would you like to see make it in the alpha. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit a big thumbs up on it. Show the channel some support if you like what I'm doing here. You can also subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with all the videos I post, mainly about the Battle for Azeroth alpha. And I'm going to keep you updated. Like, I hope that they do add more abilities back into it. I've spoken about this at length on my channel throughout various videos. And that's pretty much it, guys. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Have a good one.